I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. Welcome to my channel, List of Essential Oils and Their Uses. This is a video about essential oils for anxiety and depression. So first of all, I'm so sorry that you are here. That can't bode well for how you're feeling at the moment. And I take that responsibility very seriously. Lots of the videos on YouTube will be rightly by essential oil vendors who want you to buy their oils and whichever oil that you want to do. However, my job here is as a professional aromatherapist, a clinical aromatherapist, an educator. And so what I want to do is really focus clearly on getting you to feel better. And one of the this is probably the most difficult of the videos in a series of videos I've done about essential oils for mental health. And if you want to have a look at the others, if you have a look in the description, it will give you a list of them. A reason why it's difficult is because it's complex. We have anxiety on one side, we have depression on the other. And when you're treating somebody with anxiety, obviously what you want to do is try and calm them down. So we use soft, quiet oils. Depression, we tend to use uplifting oils. So the energy is complicated when we're swapping and changing. So, for example, when we are using oils to treat anxiety, for example, one of the oils that we would use is frankincense. It's beautiful oil. It slows the breath, it calms the breath, it makes you feel very, very withdrawn into yourself. So depression, that's the last thing we want to encourage. So what we've done here is to construct my best set of oils that I use for somebody who comes to me with that. Now, as I say, look in the description below. Also, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get one of my my own patients to give you a little bit of insight into some work that she and I did. Funnily enough, Sabani and I went to school together many, many years ago. And although I speak to her on Facebook, it was very, very rare that we have a proper conversation. So when she messaged me at the beginning of lockdown and said, I really need some help, I'm struggling here, will you give me some guidance? I said, yeah. And then she was really surprised to see all my oils. She was like, oh my goodness, you're like a proper aromatherapist. I said, yeah. I'm the UK director for the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy. She went, whoa. And she was saying to me that she was trying to do some exams and she was struggling. And when I looked at what she was doing, it was very clear to me that this particular issue of having too many energetics going on, stimulating the mind, trying to relax, all confusing her brain. So when we stripped it down, it became much easier. So I thought I would ask Sabani to tell you a little bit about how we did that and to show you there's actually a very common mistake that people make, and it's actually quite easy to rectify. So I'm going to hand over to Sabani.
Hi everyone, my name's Sab, I'm 49 years old, classic menopausal, blah blah blah, but today I just wanted to give you a few minutes, bit of a rundown on my experiences with Elizabeth and her professionalism on essential oils. Okay, so I'm 49, run a family of 5, and I'm doing my degree in psychology. With this lockdown, as you can imagine, all sorts of issues, anxiety and pressures and whatnot, all affecting us in our every single day lifestyles. However, as a lover of essential oils, I've been using the usual lavender oils, the citrus, the orange, the lemons to lift the moods, to motivate, the peppermint, the eucalyptus, the rosehip oils, all the usual standard oils, which I actually thought were doing me good. However, my consultation with Elizabeth, wow. Okay, so Elizabeth kindly explains to me top notes, middle notes and base notes. She describes to me happy oils. Happy oils are the top notes. They bring down a dreamy state. Base notes are heavy and anchoring. They anchor down the root chakras. So obviously these are things that I'm learning every day. and she actually hits upon an incredible mix of smells for me. So Elizabeth then explains to me base note oils are what I need. The myrrh, the vetiver, the benzoin, the cedarwood, the patchouli, all of which she explains to me are grounding. Okay. She then goes on to explain serene oils. Okay, these are the 3 she recommended to me. So, frankincense, it's a deep, passionate smell. She then shows me ylang ylang, which is for the sacral chakra. And here we have geranium. So with a combination of all 3, grounding for my root chakra, my sacral and my solar plexus, giving me stabilizing feelings, warm emotions, controlling those high raising, sort of dreamy states. And I must admit, had I not spoken to Elizabeth on a professional manner and she not explained to me how these certain base note oils work, I would never have known any difference. So how do I feel now? 4 weeks on, completely new, refreshed, revitalized person. Smells which are divine, which I use every single day. Few sniffs here, few sniffs there. I've even got myself one of those pendants now where you drop a few drops of oil in there. How has that helped me? Well, it's certainly calmed me down. It's brought me down from my dreamy state. I'm very calm, I'm very sort of steady, the anxiety's gone, the nerves gone, that sort of fear, that butterfly in my stomach, which I believe my citrus fragrances were causing, has gone. I've concentrated on my studies, I've anchored myself, and funnily enough, in the last 6 weeks, I've actually completed 5 massive assignments, 2 lots of exams, making a total of 10 massive assignments, all through Elizabeth's professional advice, guidance and support in helping me find the right essential oils for the right chakras.
It's nice, wasn't it? So I don't think I need to go into the science very much in this one. If you want to look more about anxiety, there's a video about anxiety. If you want to look more about depression, there's a video about depression. But clearly what we will have are similar situations in terms of somatic things going on. So for example, somatic means emotions playing out in the body. So for example, fast heartbeat, palpitations, that kind of thing, shallow breathing, difficulty sleeping probably you're having, maybe you've become withdrawn from your friends. Potentially, I mean, that's one of the big things, that when you're anxious, you stop going out and then you withdraw from your friends. So that in itself is depressing. And that's where it gets complicated, doesn't it? And so whilst essential oils can't eradicate the problem completely, they can help to manage symptoms very, very well. And of course, the doctor has tremendous treatments. I am a complementary therapist. I'm not an alternative practitioner. So I always say in my videos, I love my doctor as much as the next hypochondriac. So the doctor, I'm sure, is giving you great advice. But in terms of things like depression, there's a lot of misdiagnosis out of there. There's a lack of good practitioners out there to do things like talking therapies. So although it can be tremendously efficacious, very beneficial, you might have to wait a long time to be able to get to see those people. And here, this is the perfect moment to start integrating essential oils, because we can really modulate the mood. Tremendous. So let's have a look at this. These are, I've got some cards here. These are my Tongue of the Trees cards, which I sell upside down, and they were made in partnership with my business partner, who is a Hungarian aromatherapist, and they're designed to tap into your subconscious mind, and that's the place of memories and emotions and thoughts and, you know, just urges. They're the things that are overriding your conscious mind. When your conscious mind says, I should be doing better than this, I wish I was doing better than this, the subconscious mind goes, but you're not, are you? and it can be mean. It can be a mean thing, but also the reason why you're probably not doing any better at the moment is there's unresolved stuff, thorns in the tissue, you know, that have been touched and are festering. And essential oils are great for being able to shine a light on those and bring those forward in a safe and secure manner where they can just, the emotions flow and leave. Because we all should have times where we're sad and we're angry and we just don't want to. That's natural. And I have to say, like I say, I'm not an alternative practitioner, but I do believe we shouldn't medicate against those when they're transient, when they're flowing. We should feel anger. We should feel grief. We should feel all of those dreadful things, because when you're medicating, neither do you feel the joy, the absolute colour of life. And essential oils, again, tremendous for getting that to flow through the body. So on the other videos, I've talked a lot more before I get to the oils, but let's just go straight into it. So energetically, lavender probably isn't a good fit to the uplifting and jovial feeling that we want to be able to work towards when we're talking about depression. However, from a point of view of neurotransmitters and what we know about the body, it acts on several systems that are both deficient when you have anxiety or depression. So this is very good at being able to take the edge off. You know, it's so relaxing, it's so soothing, it's so calming. And built within these beautiful purple flowers, you know, it's been kissed by the rain, it's absorbed the golden light of sunshine, and when you inhale those molecules, that's what you get. And it suffuses the psyche with this beautiful purple energy, which is so healing, so uplifting. And you know, it's a royal colour, isn't it? This is the queen of aromatherapy. Rose probably is the queen of the essential oils, but this is the absolute rule of aromatherapy. It's the most important oil you will ever have, and in its favour, it's not expensive. So this is a great one, not only from the way that it makes you feel, but from the physical side of it will get you to sleep. So within the remit of these videos, I'm not really going to talk about how you use the essential oils, because I want to encourage you to come over to an email course that I've done. It's completely free, where I can support you through these early days of using the essential oils and show you some more advanced techniques. They are simple, really simple, but you don't really find them on blogs and stuff like that. So I've failed epically, because on the other videos I've remembered to have my cup of water by me, right? So, but what we'll do is we'll say, right, okay, you get your mug of boiling water and you put just one drop of essential oil, and just sit there for 5 minutes a day, breathing. And we breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out for 4, 2, 3, 4, hold for 2, 3, 4, and again in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. We have that nice, slow, square breathing. Beautiful. The whole process of slowing the breath will calm your heartbeat, calm your breathing, help you to breathe more deeply, get more oxygen in, oxygenate the blood more, help the blood to pump more readily through the body, but also slow the mind. Breathing. It's amazing how we don't breathe properly and how powerful just controlling our breath is. Control of breath is paramount to controlling the emotions. You'll notice that when you get stressed, immediately your breath changes. That is the in point of being able to do it. So we talked about how to breathe with the oils. You can do that with any oil. It doesn't need to be lavender. Any of these oils will help you. One thing that I like to show people is how your brain plays tricks on you, you know. So for a moment, just close your eyes and think, just listen to your thoughts. What's going on? Potentially you're going to go, what's she going to say next? Well, that's okay. Because you know what? That's not your thoughts. That's your brain trying to make sense of what's going on. It's trying to find a happy place. Now, if you're like me, because I can be quite anxious, not really given to depression, I have to say. I'm moody, but not given to depression, although in the past I have suffered from depression. But anxiety is my thing. I am a worrier. And my brain goes, but that could go wrong. And that could go wrong. And that could go wrong. And before you know where you are, woo, I'm stabbing someone. My brain goes there. But you know, one thing that was really powerful to me was to learn that's just neurotransmitters firing. That's not you in there. You're not hearing you, you're hearing chemistry. So if you can learn to just sit and watch those thoughts, sit back as the observer, then that's powerful, because immediately you realise I'm not controlled by those, because they're not me. They're just chemistry. So that's good. So as you're breathing your oil, kind of, I always say, try and find your way around the architecture of the oil. Can you sense the top part of the bit, the high bit of the oil? Can you smell low bits, deep bits? Because remember, an essential oil is a synergy of many, many different chemicals, so you will be able to discern. So maybe if you smell, you might smell a bit of lavender, but you might smell some lemon or a bit of geranium, or all those different chemicals. So spend some time really thinking about that, because that will focus your mind. Yeah. So just one thing more about the whole brain chattering thing. When we were talking about doing this breathing, know that moment where you control that breath in and you count it for 4, you're coming back to yourself. You are suddenly present here in the moment, because you're controlling everything about your body. That breath is in charge of your respiratory, but also your heart pumping, the rate of that the blood goes to your brain, the way that you're digesting everything. So that is immediately control. That in breath. So we do a square breath. Control. Yeah. And if you are finding that you cannot still the mind, and you know, everybody talks about, oh, do a bit of meditation. Well, it's not as easy as that, is it? I don't know about you, but if I try and get a red square, I get a green triangle, I get a bottle of milk, everything, right? Just sit there and go, hello, in your brain. That is the first time you will have heard your own thought, because everything else goes hello back. You can hear yourself. Again, in control. So lavender's very good at quietening it, so that you've got this sacred space in your brain that suddenly you go, I've got the controls here. Okay, so neroli. Now neroli's not cheap. Not cheap at all. See on the picture, you'll see it's orange blossom. So that's an orange fruit, and it's the bottom of the tree. So it's transient and fleeting. It's only there for a couple of weeks, so you can't make much of the oil. So that's why it's expensive. But neroli is spectacular for anxiety. Very calming, very soothing. And where some of these oils, ylang-ylang or sweet basil, they kind of shout, you know, they're loud and they're in your face, whereas she is a whisper. She's so beautifully gentle, and it's just like somebody stroking you all the time. I'm here, I'm here, Just lovely. Now, somebody's been in my office and moved my aroma pendant. I have an aroma pendant that sits around my neck, and I just pop it down there and I breathe the oil. That's beautifully therapeutic. And with neroli, she smells like an expensive perfume. You can get away with that. So just that one drop, just inhaling as you go. You don't even need to be doing the, it's there, going up the nose. The oils send out volatiles which evaporate, and they go up your nose to the back of the nose where there is what's called the olfactory bulb. And the olfactory bulb is tiny, really. So if you're American, it's about the size of a dime. It's about the size of a 5p or my thumbnail. And on there, can you imagine 100,000 receptors all going, oh, I know this. Oh, I don't know this. Oh, this is interesting. This is nice. That's awful. And as they do that, as they receive that information, they send information up the olfactory nerves, which go to different parts of the brain, the limbic system. And the limbic system is complex and very primitive and very old. Potentially one of the very first things that developed in mankind. It's importantly involved in smell. So for example, I smell there is a wild boar behind me, I better move and think about how I'm going to eat that. So this, danger is an important thing. It's very, very linked with smell. Hence why it's an extremely good way of managing anxiety, because we're controlling the smell. So therefore we're controlling the anxiety through the part that goes, but it's out there. So this is important. And did you know that we can discern, it's thought, about 3 million different fragrances? And imagine that as some kind of database. It's extraordinary what we've got in our mind and what we can be utilising. And so lavender is universally recognised as very relaxing and very sedative. What I should say though is what's complicated to that is our psychology affects it, because that primitive area, that limbic system, is involved with emotions, learning and memory. So for example, if you've been smelling lavender, you might go, oh no, it reminds me of Nan and I didn't like my Nan. Oh, then we know we go on to neroli. Let's try a different one. We don't want to be triggering those memories. So yeah, neroli, very anti-anxiety, very antidepressant, and very, very tranquil and romantic, really romantic. So we're going on to leaves now. So these were flowers, did you notice? These on the cards, these are flowers. Pink, the bright pink. So now we're going on to my favourite colour, the greens. So patchouli. Now, I am a big advocate of patchouli. I know lots of people don't like it, and I have to say I thought that I didn't like it until somebody showed me a proper patchouli, and I was like, that's not what I thought it smelled like. So we all seem to associate it with that 1970s biker smell, but that wasn't patchouli. It was called patchouli, but it was a synthetic version. And did you know, if you look at it, it's actually a part of the mint family. Doesn't smell like a mint at all. It's kind of woody and earthy. And you'll see the key word at the bottom is harmony. And the reason why I've used that word is because it harmonises the mind and the body. So do you ever have times where your brain is spinning out and it's going, and this, 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 and your body's just going tenser and tenser, withdrawing into itself? What patchouli does is it moves this mad energy, frenetic, busy energy, overwork, down into the physical body. And that's quite unusual. I don't think I can think of another oil that does it quite as well. Maybe cedarwood to an extent. But what happens is the brain goes quiet. It's like it's been pushed down and there's a space. The brain goes quiet and the body goes, what should we do? What should we do? And it's not physical, it's not fidgety, it's, I don't feel tense anymore. I could do something. Shall I go and wash up? Well, mine never says that, or never says change the beds either. But it does sometimes say, how about we go and walk around the shops? Especially if we've been paid. So you get this movement from like the slovenly body, the lethargicness that depression brings, lethargy, that depression brings, where you just don't want to do anything. I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. I've got no interest in stuff, because that's awful, isn't it? You know, things that you used to love, they've gone. Or patchouli goes, I kind of quite liked doing those. Shall we try doing them again? So this is a really useful oil. And between you and I, if you've gone off sex, there's a step forward, because that's one of the things it likes to do. Now, another one of my favourites, again, we're in the leaves. Can you see the bright green? And this is cypress. Now, cypress isn't a specific for anxiety and depression together, but it's very good for transition. If you're going through a time where something's happened and you've been traumatized by it, or you feel like the earth has moved under your feet and you've got to go to a new point in life and it's fucking terrifying. That one. It's astrologically, it's ruled by Pisces and Aries, jointly on the cusp. So if you imagine the zodiac, Pisces is right at the end. Obviously we're in a circle, aren't we? But it's the oldest part of the zodiac, and Aries is the baby. And it sits on that moment where things die. And it's kind of like the phoenix, let's say the caterpillar. The caterpillar in the cocoon. That moment where you're thinking, I don't know what's out there, but I know it's better, but I don't know if I've got the guts to go and do it. Cypress goes, I think we do. And actually, I don't think I've put it in here, but the other oil that's like that is angelica root. Angelica root's more difficult to use. This is, you know, a really fresh, evergreen, kind of citrusy fragrance. It is a happy fragrance. It's not very expensive, and I would heartily recommend that if you were thinking about just doing some work like this and you think, right, I've got a lavender and stuff, I've got the basic stuff, head towards cypress. Cypress is a really underused and very important oil. So we've talked about cheap ones, and we're going a little bit more expensive, to say the least. This is Melissa. Melissa is lemon balm. So let's talk a little bit about the price thing first. Melissa, if you've got a lemon balm in your garden, you'll go, yeah, but it's absolutely stinks. It's so full of oil. Yeah, it does smell a lot beautifully. This beautiful lemon fragrance. It's lovely. And, but oddly, even though it smells a lot, there's very, very small amounts of essential oil yield from it. So you have to use huge numbers of leaves to be able to distill from it. Happily, it's you're using the leaves and they're there all the time. So it's, although it has a time of the year where it's best to distill, it has got a long year to be able to do that. So that's useful, that helps. But from an industry point of view, it's adulterated to make it cheaper. So what they cut it with is lemon verbena. Lemon verbena smells the same, but it does, it can be a bit wicked on the skin. So if you're using it the way that I've said, to just do your breathing, don't worry about using it topically at this stage, then it's just lovely. Use what's called the type. That's the adulterated one, and you can use it safely on the skin. But if you are somebody who's particularly delicate, who has sensitive skin, or I don't know, I treat a little boy who has profound epilepsy, and I don't trust the Melissa type on him. I always use a true Melissa, just because it's gentler and purer. But for the most part, there's no need for snobbery. Use the cheap stuff, because all we want is that aromatic component, and it's so uplifting. And so I've put down here, it's joy. It definitely is. It's the meadow where the garden, where the leaves are, the beautiful flowers, and the sun shining, and everything's right in the world before you got stung. And it's that moment before everything went bad. You know, I'm sure that you can probably say, I was all right till such and such. Maybe you can't, not everybody can, but I was all right till this started is enough. This takes you back to that time when things were just beautiful. You know, when you think back in childhood and you think, oh, that's weird. It always feels like the sun's shining. That's Melissa. Very joyful, very, very sedative. Lovely, really lovely. I would heartily recommend Melissa. I'm writing a book about Melissa and it's taken me an absolute age. I have written a book about the next one. So let me show you. We are now going into the aromatics. The aromatics is a big group for this because they're so balancing. So we've got loads of them. So this one's my favourite friend, right? She is sweet basil. And you know how I was saying some oils shout, oh my goodness, she's got a megaphone. So if you go to the supermarket and you get yourself a sweet basil plant and you stick it in the boot, you can't smell the strawberries, you can't smell the tomatoes, but my goodness, you can smell her over the garlic even. Shouts. And that is the nature of the essential oil. She's got some of the same components in actually that are useful within lavender. Linalool in particular is very anti-inflammatory, but antidepressive, anxiolytic, not anti-anxiolytic, try again, anti-anxiety or anxiolytic, and this linalool in here makes her very strong. But imagine, I always say she's like the sergeant major, and she's been been fighting in Afghanistan. She's frightened of nothing, right? And she's on the table and she's showing her knickers off, you know. She's drunk, swigging from a bottle. She's rowdy and raucous and uncouth. And I promise you, if you use her, you're going to get a bit like that. You just say stuff. But her mantra is, get out of your head. Go and do it. Get out of your head. She will not let you keep thinking about stuff. You will start doing stuff. Very, very powerful oil. There is a book written about her. I have written a book about her. I would recommend. It's a good read. It's funny. It's funny. I sit with the oils for a long time, months at a time, when I'm working with them, and they really alter my personality, obviously, and my character, and I become different people character-wise. And people were like, oh my God, be glad when you finish this book. You're somewhat outspoken. And I really was. But oddly, my house became very clean and tidy, and all of my patients who've used it have said the same. I go to start tidying things out, sorting things out. It's very odd. Very, very odd. Amazing oil. The aromatics, as I say, is a big group. What classifies them is we use the whole plant. So all parts of the plant are aromatic. The stalk and the flowers, the phosphorescence. Yarrow isn't an oil that we would use very often because it's expensive. But do you notice how the flower is white? When you distill it, when you pass steam through the plant matter and then cool it, the chemistry changes and it becomes blue. Now, blue oils are really, really like liquid anaesthetic. They numb the feelings. So they numb the feelings, they numb the skin. So if you've hurt yourself, you know, it is like having lignocaine, whatever it is. But they do numb the emotions too. And its Latin name is Achille millefolium. So look at the leaves. They're like feathers. There's your millefolium. Thousands of leaves. But Achille means of Achilles. Remember the Greek hero whose mom held him by his heel and dipped him in the river Styx to make him immortal? And so he was impenetrable, except for this tiny part that didn't go into the magical water, which was his Achilles heel. So we say that's our weakness, don't we? And right now, your weakness is your emotions. So yarrow would treat that too. It's very numbing, it's very calming, it's beautiful, gentle oil, and heals just about absolutely everything. So if you are interested in having a less usual oil that will be very useful, yarrow is a very good one. Now, you may notice that I talk about the oils a lot, and I do have a dedicated channel called the Tongue of the Trees channel, which solely talks about these cards, where we go in depth into a particular essential oil. So we say, right, what is clary sage essential oil good for? Because that's the next one on the list. What's clary sage essential oil good for? There's one video that talks about the physical stuff. So even though we're talking about yarrow in terms of emotions here, you could pop over and say, yeah, but what else would we use yarrow for? Although I have to say, I don't think I've finished doing the yarrow video. So the first video talks about all the things you can use it for first aid, how you can use it on the skin, what do you do with that. The second video in the series then goes into the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the safety, the dilution, how you can use it. So if you decide to buy a new oil, that's the place to go, but I'm not just going to use it for one thing. I want to use it for everything I possibly can. And that's how we go to that. Next, we talked about clary sage. Here it is now. Notice it's an aromatic. We use the whole plant. Clairvoyance. Now, don't be misled by the word. Yeah, it does definitely give more psychic abilities, and actually if you mix it, if you have it when you've had a drink, it also makes you hallucinate a little, so that's not great. But we use the word from the point of view of clairvoyance, clear sight. I can see clearly. If you're anxious and depressed, the chances are you take slight at the slightest thing. I do that anyway. But you might think, well, why's she done that? Why did she say that? Doesn't she know I'm like this? Or likewise, you might say, but I'm worried about that, and it looks bad to me. It looks bad to me. Clary sage goes, let's just have some balance here. You're seeing it skewed. Your hormones are skewing it. Your neurotransmitters are skewing it. Your anger is skewing it. Let's look at it radically, logically. What does it look like? Clear sight. And if you find that you are ruled by your hormones, let's be honest, there's a few of us out here that have been over the years, it mimics estrogen. So if you find that PMT, for example, or PMS, or you've got premenstrual disorder, then this is beautiful because it mimics estrogen, and so you don't have that drop. And when estrogen drops, then you start to worry more. Very, very helpful. Also very helpful if you've got something like OCD and your worries control everything. Rose geranium. I always say if I could only take one oil with me onto a desert island, this would be it. It's such versatile oil. It's so good for worry. It's so good for stress. It's so good for hormones. It's so good for being tired. It's so good for feeling lonely. It's just beautiful, and it's not expensive. Because what you're starting to learn now, what can we use it, which part of the plant can we use it for? The whole plant. We can use the whole plant. And so this has got a nice good yield, so you can pick it up very cheaply. I was going to say relatively cheaply is the word I was going to say. And yeah, just although I recommend for all of the others, and I would recommend it for this too, the cup, the breathing in the bath. There is nothing to compare with geranium in the bath. 3 drops and you are lying there and the world just lifts off your shoulders and drifts away. Especially if you're like me and you worry about money all of the time. Geranium. Roman chamomile. Release. So on every video, it's my life's work to sing you the song of the chamomile. I've decided, because I do hear all of the oils as musical notes and personalities. And actually, if you go on to buy the books, you'll find that when you draw a card and you look and you say, right, okay, I've got that one, the poem is like the plant is talking to you, because the plants talk to me all of the time. I am quite normal at some parts of my life, but only some parts. But Roman Camera just says, whatever will be, will be. But she sings it all the time. She's like Doris Day. So she goes, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. She's more in tune than Doris. What was that? But she does. She just goes, whatever will be, will be. And if you think about what she's like in the garden, if you've ever seen her, she's got this beautiful long stalk. And she's got her pretty little daisy head on top. And she's got these floppy little leaves, a bit like the yarrow. And she just, the breeze comes and it doesn't matter that she's on that stem. She just dances. And she's always looking up at the clouds. That's what it feels like. Remember when you were a kid? And you lay back and you watched the clouds. And you would just kind of get that feeling of not quite being in the body. There she is. Want to get that back? There she is. Now, I'm into the reds. There's a lot of reds. The reds are the fruits. And the nature of the fruit is it is very uplifting and dancing and a bit like a party. So let's take a moment for a second here and think about how you're feeling today. And that is the most important thing. When you take an essential oil and you smell it and you go, how does that make me feel? So if you are feeling particularly scared and angry, do you want to go to a party? I probably don't think that you do. If you feel anxious and frenetic and you're spinning out, what you want to feel is calm, don't you? So different oils will affect you on different days differently in response to your mood. And just like when, I don't know, one of my friends says to me, should we go out for a drink? God, can you imagine that? Oh, we're in lockdown now. I haven't been out for a drink for such a long time. I don't even drink. I just miss the pub. But it would depend on how I felt on that day as to whether I would go. So if I've had a bad day at work, I go, no, I'm not good company. But on other days, I go, do you know what? That's exactly what I need. And on those days when it's exactly what I need, we go for the reds. But this one here, bergamot. Bergamot's going to be your best friend right now. There is another oil called yuzu. It's a Japanese orange. And bergamot and yuzu have so much research behind them for depression. And they smell so beautiful. And you can just wear them in your little aroma pendant and inhale them without even making an effort. And you will find that you start to lift. Definitely, definitely. The other oil that we haven't talked about in this video that would probably do that over time would be rose. But that's like getting a mortgage. So bergamot and yuzu, not so expensive. But the reds. They have, if you notice the bit that's coloured in, it's the rind that gives us the peel, that gives us the essential oil. And actually, they're not really essential oils, technically. Essential oils are distilled and these are not. These are pushed out, pressed out of the rind. They come out immediately. So that's why you can smell it, because the essential oil's on the outside. But when it's pushed out, certain lipids come out as well. And they can cause problems on the skin. In sunlight, oddly. It's called phototoxicity, and it can make your skin feel very irritated and burnt. So although we're talking about, we're not going to go into topical use, so you can definitely use it topically. And as I say, if you look at the other videos that I've done on tongs and trees, it will tell you how to do that. If you subscribe to the email course, I will go into that and we'll do some blends together. And also, incidentally, I should say, I do consultations, so you are more than welcome to say, right, can I have my 30-minute free consultation? Help me with this, do a blend. I'm here, right? Again, look in the blend, in the description. But the reason for saying that now is if you are using an aroma pendant or one of those aroma bracelets, and they're one of those lovely lava stone ones, what you'll find is it touches the skin. So you will need to dilute these in carrier oil so you don't irritate the skin. So even though we're only using it as an inhalant, you do need to dilute it if it's touching your skin. Bergamot, as I say, so much research out there as to how it helps anxiety, how it helps depression, and it's like a party. These are all like a party, you know. They're just, I always say they're like Mardi Gras. You feel so much more with it when you're having a blast. And if you want to laugh, if you go and have a look at some of the grapefruit videos when I did them, I've been sniffing citrus oils all day, and I was like, woohoo! Mandarin, very helpful oil. If you put that with lavender and chamomile, you're definitely going to sleep, and you'll feel calm and you'll feel happy. There's top tip. That's a perfect blend. But it's very playful, and I always say it's like, well, my mum's written a book. My mum's a very good aromatherapist, and if you have a look on Amazon, you'll find the Garden of Eden, and she talks about Mandarin, and then she says it's like an afternoon at Raffles. Beautiful afternoon tea on a balmy day in Singapore. Very dignified, very polite, very chatty. Best frocks. There she is. There she is. Also, another one, orange. Now, I don't use much orange, I have to say, but I do have a top tip about orange. If you use a drop of orange in your moisturiser or in your bath, and you're very careful and we only want one, or you diffuse it, or you're smelling it, it gets rid of the ugly stick. It does. You stop hating yourself. Some days I can look in the mirror and go, what do you look like? And orange goes, I'm here. And you go, actually, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I can face the world. Just very positive. Everything's optimistic with orange. Like I say, grapefruit. Me and grapefruit, my goodness me. I think it's like it. Ooh, I've got quite a lot of confidence in front of videos. I'm quite a shy person, actually. It's hard to be able to see that when I'm on video, but I am generally a shy person. But I'm all right on here. So when I'm doing this, I'm like, woohoo! Come on, let's go and have a party. It's all solar plexus energy. It's confidence, self-esteem, identity. God, I can do this. If you're struggling with that, grapefruit. And last but not least, cardamom. It's not an oil you hear of very often, but it's just contentment. It really is. So if you think of Turkish coffee, right, and they put cardamom in Turkish coffee after a meal, and you drink it in the tent with all your best friends, and you're around the fire and you're mellow, you've had a beautiful meal and you're a little bit sleepy, and you're just thinking, life is so great. Oh, this is lovely. I wish it could be like this all the time. There it is. That's cardamom. So, like I say, very simple at this point. All I want you to do is sit and breathe that oil. And 5 minutes a day, that's all it'll take. You can, of course, do more. If you think, well, I'll do that, but I'll also do my inhaler. Or just be careful putting the oils in the bath, because some of them, particularly fruit ones, not great in the bath. But your aromatics and your florals in the bath, fine. When you're in the bath, you need to make sure that you are in for at least 20 minutes, because then the oils have time to permeate through the skin, go through the blood system and do their jobs. But also, it's in the vapours, isn't it? You know, if you think that every single, if you look at your arm and you think where all of those hairs are, right? Every one of those hairs gives away a pore of the skin, and one of those pores is a gateway in, because they're semi-permeable. Think about all of the ways that can get in the body in the bath. It's very powerful stuff. So even if you think that you are taking an easy option here, trust me, there are some fantastic healers in this lot. So I want you to have a look at subscribing to my newsletter. I'll tell you also where you can get these from, and my top tip of where I recommend you get your oils from, which is the same people that stock this. So you could save on some postage and use the same oil supplier as me. So there we go. This is a long video. It wasn't meant to be a long video, but this is anxiety and depression, and I hope that I have helped you choose some really good oils for anxiety and depression. But like I say, if you're struggling, click on the link, go for a free consultation from me, and I will hop on and help.
So you get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It will say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to you can send a comment and say like hi's to mum and dad, like, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.